Hi, what's up, everybody? My name is Sean.
I'm Steven.
Welcome to Desk Crits. Hey, man, so how you doing today?
Pretty good. We just got through midterms. What'd you think?
Honestly, midterm was kind of rough for me. I was having a really hard time, coming up with ideas. Had to do a last minute all nighter to get
Yeah.
everything through, but it was interesting. It went a lot better than I expected because when I got to midterm, I was like, man, I'm just ready to get roasted right now because I don't feel confident with the work I have right now. Like I had a lot of work with me. It's just I didn't like anything that I produce. So, and then I was going to go last in my group, but then I got up to get up to do earlier because they were like, "Oh, you look ready." I was like, "Okay, yeah. Well, let's just do this right now."
I'm very interested. I'm very interested in asking you this because you're not the only student who I've heard say that, right? Um, hey, how do you guys feel? Like on midterm day, right? Like I'll ask somebody how you feeling, and then I could have been in a better spot or whatever, and you did that, right? You could have been. So I've never done anything like that just because I just hate the fact of knowing of getting yelled at. I don't want to feel that. I don't want to feel embarrassed and because I know that that will happen to me if I do that, I don't do it. So I don't think I've ever experienced that and I always wonder like how could people do that? Like my cousin was a big time troublemaker, right? Me and him were the same age and I would worry about because sometimes when we would go on break, the we were still like would be in the fifth grade. This is in the fifth grade, like a spring break, right? They would or a winter break. The fifth grade teacher would tell us, "Hey, enjoy your weekend, but remember that you guys have a journal due each day. I want you guys to document everything that you guys did, and I want to read them at the beginning of the break." And I remember on the last day I asked my cousin the day before we went to school. I said, "Hey, did you finish all those journals?" And he's like, "No, I'm not doing them," because he was always more into playing. And when we got back to school, like he was in trouble, and I was like, "Man, why did he do that? Why didn't he just do it?" So I never really understood that. So now that you said that, and we're friends, you're the only one that I've actually asked that question of like why do you say that and why do students say that like when you say hey oh I would have like are you ready I could have been more prepared but I mean it is what it is why do you do that to yourself.
I think for me at least, so you see me in my journey right now through this class. I was struggling so hard to like what I actually want. So I usually don't like showing something that I don't like. Like I think I'm just stubborn for that. Like I don't feel like what I want to show is ready or I like, so I don't want to show it, but I just have to because we have deliverables to hit.
Mm.
So, I mean, I brought all the requirements we need for the midterm, but I just did not like what I created, and I wanted to just keep it going. But, sometimes classes are just going and going. You're going to have to get through that project somehow, and if you restart, kind of sets you back more. So,
So what I understand from that is that you're not married to the idea yet so you don't want
no,
to invest the time. Oh.
that's why. So I just kind of just threw stuff together and just get it to midterm because, like, I'm not satisfied with the work I have right now or the idea I have right now, let's say.
Okay, so this is where I think that students like myself would agree, right, against that group of people that do that, because even as a student who's prepared for the midterm, so to speak, like this is what was asked. I'm bringing my part, right? I think I did a good job. I think where I'm in a good spot. So even though I don't necessarily half-ass the assignment, I'm not really sold on the idea either. I'm not really married to that. Like I want that. So I think that we both feel the same thing, except that you disconnect before you even invest the time.
I don't know. I don't want to waste hours of work onto an idea and just not use it.
Yeah,
That's for me though. Like
I think I feel the same way though. I
like
feel
I just feel like I'd rather drop it early, get roasted, sure, but now I know what I want. I actually like now finally figured out what I need to do for this project.
But what's interesting to me is that we feel the same thing,
But
right?
different execution.
But different execution. So I that's super interesting. Like I'm down here and you're up, and then one it's the other way around, and but we both feel the same. Um, but that's interesting. I'm glad I understand. Probably that's what students like yourself feel too, and it makes sense. Like I'm not gonna invest all nighter right now, and I'm not really. I don't even. I'm gonna give you what you want. I could invest the time in it, but you're gonna roast me anyway because my quality of work is not gonna be good because I'm not sold to this yet. But you're asking me for this, so I'm gonna just give it to you. Here you go then, right? Yeah, that makes sense.
And you saw my work; it wasn't bad for midterm. Like I had,
No, it wasn't.
there was a
Not for
couple
me
of
too.
drawings that were like really nice, but
Yeah.
like I just wasn't satisfied. So I was like, I don't. I'd rather just get roasted, and like I know what I can produce in the end. So it's like, yeah.
Dang. So I didn't get to be in your midterm, but you came towards the end of mine. What did they tell you? How did your go? Your midterm?
It went good. I think they liked the way I like went from diagrams, and then it started to shape the form of my building, like a
Mhm.
massing of it, and I just needed to work on it like more confidently because I wasn't confident with what I was producing since I was like, I don't really know what to say because I don't really like any of the ideas that I have, but they all like work for a building.
Mhm.
What about you?
Um, for me, I addressed the issue with more landscape architecture, as you saw mine.
Hmm.
And so I did do as the professor said of just it seems like you just put this building here just to put it right, because I did do that, and it's funny that she caught it right because despite all the landscape architecture which made sense to the reviewer as well, they because the landscape architect part of my midterm dominated the drawing, we invested more time in that than the building because like you said we're still in massing. So I think they were like, well, this has more development, let's talk about this, the landscape architecture. And so she said that there was great ideas, and then like maybe creating a different park, or more activity in the park, like if I'm gonna have raised berms to make it a museum kind of thing, like so people can learn awareness of climate change and awareness how this berm can save flooding, or not save flooding but reduce flooding and all of that. So we focused on that, and then today with the professor, she was like, "Hey, it looks like you just did this. Let's step back from that and focus on this." So that was my feedback, And as you saw, right, I was kind of displeased with it, right, because I wanted the landscape architecture to answer why I did that, right, because I focused so much on it that it was obvious. I wanted the person to ask me, "Why did you do that?" But because she is more invested in the architecture, the building, she said, "It's cool, but let's talk about this." And that's where I was displeased with the feedback I got.
I think mine. I think I also focus on landscape too much too.
Yeah, because we all thought about the flooding issue, and it's serious.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I thought more of the landscape problem than the building problem. I was like, I can get there when I.
I think most of us did. I think most of us did because that was
Really?
No.
From what I saw from other people's work, I think they focused more on the building actually
Yeah.
than landscaping. From what I saw, at least. Maybe I'm not sure. Some people did, but from what I saw, at least or heard, I think a lot of people focused on how the building was orientated and like where the placements are. But I think for you and I, we did really landscape heavy.
Yeah, and I think because we found out that the site's gonna flood, right? Like, so the challenge is you put a affordable housing unit here. This is the site boundary that's gonna go wherever you want it to be, right? And all of us just thought about the architecture and cool, let's get the job done. and then we're reminded like, hey, but it's gonna flood. You also have to address that issue, and you're like, what? Like, why even bother then if it's gonna like right?
Yeah.
Because
I
it
mean,
kind of changed our mood. It changed mine, because I'm like, damn, it's already hard to think of the building and placement and everything it affects, right? Because now you'll gentrify the area, or you'll make the area an issue for the neighbors and everybody else. But ours was flooding, so we all immediately thought about landscape response because that's landscape architecture. That's how you would address it, and that's why we focused more on that. And I think we all had similar answers. You saw that our solutions were the same, sort of.
yeah, you and I, yeah, we kind of hit the same. I think mine's more engineer heavy, and yours is like natural.
Mm-hmm.
You spread it out. Mine's definitely more like man made, like digging like really underneath to get it going.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't really get a chance to see other students. I mean, I was there, but while I was watching them, I would turn and look at them and then think about my narrative, right? Because we always prepare for that. We're nervous and how are we going to start? I hope if they ask me this question, I hope I have the answer. So as someone was presenting, I would look. I wouldn't really listen. I would look, and then I would be thinking about my narrative.
Okay.
So I didn't really get to see other people's feedback. But
I listened to a lot. Everyone, basically, like more than half.
yeah. So with that being said, what do you think about technology? You showed me a clip earlier, no, like a few weeks ago of this AI goggles. What are those? What is those?
That's the Apple Vision Pro.
Okay, what's the big thing with that? Like,
Yeah,
because everybody's talking about it.
it's just like it's almost like VR but for your phone and stuff. Like you can
Okay, so
answer
how
calls, look stuff up.
how could that affect us in architecture? Would that change our game up? Like, would that be good or that's landing like a man? Like it's cool.
So, one of my studios, as a joke, I really wanted to make people just go in my VR and look at a virtual poster.
Oh, you want?
as a as a joke, and I was seriously thinking about it too because I was gonna just model the review rooms in Lawrence, make you wear the goggles to make it feel like you're in the review room,
Wow.
and then just have a digital poster
Dang.
instead of printing because I have not printed a poster this whole time for my final review.
No?
Nope.
Like all these 5 years?
All the 5 years, I have not printed one yet.
What? So how? Oh, it's just been traced.
Yeah, I've been hand drawing everything.
Wow. Even the
So-
final?
So that is why I wanted to do the virtual digital poster for
Dang.
people to wear.
But why, Sean? Why don't you print?
I'm cheap. I don't feel like spending $150 for potentially using it for no. Think about it. You use it for an hour. That's $150.
Or 4 hours. Sometimes 4 hours because we.
I mean, you
present for-
just post it there, but like
Yeah.
in reality, you're just like using it for an hour. It's there for 5 hours, yes, but like
But then that's
you're
it.
presenting.
But then that's
Yeah,
it.
that's it. People just kind of. I see people even toss their posters. I'm like,
You've seen that?
wow, that's $150. You're just gonna wash it like that, but like
Yeah.
that's
it is.
why because I don't know. I just didn't feel like spending, and also I was just trying to mix media, tried to learn stuff. Obviously, I got roasted for it, but I was ready to take the hit anyway.
That's
But
crazy.
I will say some of the media stuff I pulled definitely like worked because it was very unique, like just out of the spectrum. So like that has also saved me also.
Man.
But I don't know. I think technology. I think it'll help, or I think it'll be helpful in a lot of different ways. Like VR, I think will be interesting because like you can like walk through your building. Like I know how to like do that in Rhino now. Like with
a walkthrough.
yeah, like you can put on the VR. You could probably start walking through it, stuff like that.
I think. Oh, was it year one? Year one, I saw a student take his his AI goggles, and he was just standing there with his poster, but then he had a little table and his AI glasses, and then I'm just looking at him like setting it up, and I'm like, hey, what is that? He's like, oh, it's a AI thing, so you can be inside the rooms that I designed, and I checked it out. It was really cool. But then I was like, you think professors are gonna put that on?
That's another problem. We do have like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of older professors are more old school, but a lot of new ones will definitely hop onto that VR thing. But that, I don't know, that's where the hit and miss starts happening, because if you do get like an older professor reviewer, that's where
They're
like,
not gonna put it on.
they'll put it on, but it's like, they won't understand. I don't know.
Yeah,
It like really depends like who you're gonna get.
Exactly. But okay, so what about now AI in architecture?
I think if you use it right as a designer, it's okay. Like not fully copying it, but like I see it as a precedent study kind of dealio.
Why?
I mean, I haven't really used that as much, but
like you're saying, like if you're photoshopping or whatever using the AI tool, or are you talking about in general?
Just generating like a render.
Yeah, I've seen
a lot of people just like take a physical model. Well, not at our school, but take a physical model, throw it in there, and it generates like
a background.
No,
context.
Like it generates the interior stuff too, like everything.
Wow.
So I don't know. Like I think depending on what you're using it for and how you use it could be really up and down.
But you know what? Like as far as render deliverables, like the Photoshop ones to me look better than the other softwares like Lumion and Enscape, Twinmotion. Do you like those better?
I like Twinmotion. And then I like Twinmotion and mixing people with Photoshop.
Yeah, yeah. But so see, you finish it in Photoshop because it still needs
Photoshop's
work.
better. Just adding people. The Twinmotion people look still like cartoony.
Yeah.
Other renders, I don't know. They look even different.
But and the AI ones are like next level, huh?
AI ones are interesting. I don't know. I was kind of messing around, like, add a person. Pretty good.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
But that would probably be good for midterm, no?
Still needs a lot of tweaking.
Like that'd be better as a midterm than a final, I think.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Because a final would be like, you just threw it up there. It'll look nice, but it still be to me like putting a base render.
Yeah, yeah.
Want to read the next one?
Yeah. What role do site visits play in our architectural education, and can you share any memorable experiences from those?
Site visits. What do they play in architecture, right? Like, is it important to go to them?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Because like even right now with the Canada project.
Oh man, yeah.
Right, like because we didn't go, it really affected us.
I studied the Google Earth, Google Map like hours, but I'm struggling like the actual like.
It's not the same
scale of our site. Like it is huge, but like it's way bigger than I'm actually like
envisioning it.
Yeah, because like originally I only had one building on there, but after realizing our site, like putting my building in there with a 1-to-1 scale on the site model that I made, I'm like, wow, it is very big, and my building is not even putting a dent into this area.
Yeah, it's huge.
So I had to put 2 now and did a lot of landscaping.
Oh, you put 2 buildings?
Yeah, now I have 2. It was 3, but I was like, I think I can run it with 2. I don't think I need 3, but 3 could work for mine too. But yeah, I kind of wish I went to the Vancouver one to just understand size, but it's okay. It is what it is. You gotta make up your losses by just studying other things. Yeah,
because even to me, the site visits are important because you'll get the actual information, the measurements, which are important. Because then you get asked questions like, how far is this from here? How far? And although you can get it from Google Earth, it's still never the same, because then you place things in certain places and then Google Maps may not be updated to the latest version of what's actually there, right? And that could affect us because you invest a bunch of time in it, and then the reviewer goes, "You do know there's a Starbucks there, right?" Or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know, and you're like, "I didn't know that." So they play a big role, I think, and it's important because you're gonna invest too much time in something that then later you end up finding out like, oh, plans have changed. It's really over here now because there's a factory there.
Yeah.
Um, so do you have any memorable experiences from those? Like if something went really bad or really good because of that?
So study abroad, I guess, for Rome. I gotta see where my site is, and it was like interesting how big the area I have to work on. Like I thought it was gonna be a lot bigger, but it wasn't. So like I got the understanding of sizing of my building. I can like visualize like how big my building needs to be on the site.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I have. Actually, yeah, I do. I went to. I had. Uh, it was a large property that was owned by uh, Nature Conservancy, and because Google Maps, would show us a certain type of terrain. When we got there, it was in the fall, so a lot of the leaves had gone down, so that density of forest was no longer there. Um, of the certain types of trees, I can't remember what they were. They weren't necessarily evergreen trees, but the leaves fell, and when we got there, we were able to see, the actual terrain of how the land was,
Yeah.
and so it helped us to solve the solution a little bit sooner because we went there and we realized like, whoa, there's no, like if you're driving here at night, there's no light post. And then we ended up asking like, hey, by the way, has anyone oh yeah, actually a lot of people crash here, and we wouldn't have asked that if we wouldn't have been there.
Mm-hmm.
So it played a huge role, and it also allowed us to think about putting a bioswales and putting terrace gardens on that side of the road because the topography was steep,
Mm-hmm.
and then there was property down there with cattle. There was a bunch of cows, and because of the cars passing through there in the rain, right, the tire, the pollutants, all that going to the soil, and then the water finally reaches to the cows and they're drinking from the stream, and that affects that animal now. So
Okay,
it was interesting to think about all of that because you took care of the human being, then Earth, and everything worked. So it played a huge role in helping us solve the problem. Pretty cool, no?
yeah.
Um, how do you approach the initial stages of design projects from conceptualization to creating sketches and models?
Well, first I need to understand what the project is, and then second I write what goals I want out of the project, and then I just start like doing diagrams, start like sketching like random things, random shapes, just to mess around what I need to do. And then like once I have the general shape of what I want, I throw everything to digital
Mm-hmm.
just to make my life faster now because I don't want to hand draw anymore.
Yeah, yeah, I feel that. I
What about you?
today with the model, I don't know if I showed you right, like one of the models, the original design mask that I had.
Yeah.
Like it was cool, and then I said, "But flip it over, check this out," and we both saw the same thing, how cool it was. And I wouldn't have seen that if I didn't do the mass model first. So it's important to do them, although they kind of suck, right? Because it takes so much time.
I will say yes, building physical models are better just because you can accidentally find a better shape by just rotating it or
Yeah.
flipping it. But I don't think I could see that if I did that in a digital model though.
Right, right. So that they play a huge role.
'Cause
I think.
you're just moving around your hands and you're like, oh okay.
Yeah, and that's we see why they do that in the end, right? Because you're like at first complaining like they're fun once they're done, like they're really cool to look at, like dang, they look super cool. But then you realize that hey, it wasn't just so that you guys can print something nice. you can actually learn from this, and you see it once it's on the table on the context. You realize I should just rotate it and it'll work, or I should lower it because it's too high here, and so on and so forth. But yeah, they play a huge role. Next question.
What do you think is the most important skills or qualities for successful architecture students, and how do you work on those skills?
I think the most important skills are to be able to be humble, because we can be humble, but most of the time we choose not to because of our ego. It dominates us.
Yeah.
Because like everything would be better, right? And in a more simpler way, like everything would be easier if we would have just listened. But we, our little egos didn't let us, and we could have saved a bunch of time from falling and falling and falling and making mistakes. So coming in with that skill of learning to just accept that you don't know everything, it'll help you grow, because the professor will be interested in you actually wanting to learn the material and you wanting to understand what you're doing. I'll give you an example of yesterday. I was at a landscape architecture firm, that I know in town, and I told them about our project, and I told them if they can help me, find a solution, because I've never worked on a site that's gonna flood. And so the end, after he helped me resolve the issue, because he had experience, I ended up inviting him. I said, "Hey, would you come to the final?" And he said, "Absolutely." And then he told me, "But you better make sure that you don't waste my time. I want you to invest the time in this. Don't waste my time, because you know better. The other students may not have landscape architect as their undergrad degree. You do. So don't make me waste my time." And although I laughed, like I chuckled, like ha ha ha, he meant it. And I just accepted it like with love, because he was telling me like, "Hey, I prepared you for this. I'm talking to you right now on how to solve this. You agreed to everything I said because you understood it. And even if you had questions, you asked them. So now you know." Right? And so if I'm able to take that response from him and not get offended, why don't I apply it to all things? Like that's what students should do. Apply it to everything, right? Because you'll learn from it, and it'll get you better. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, I agree. I also think for me, listen to everything, and I guess like I don't know. What I do, I just listen to everything. Like if a crit's going bad or good, I still learn from those from other people. And then I also watch a lot. Like I look at everyone's work on seeing how they're doing. Like I just like looking at everyone's thing. Everyone's different.
Yeah.
Everyone's different. They might do something stupid or they might do something smart. Either way, it's still good to learn the bad things and the good things. So like sometimes I just like roaming around, looking what everyone's doing, listening what people are saying, because you're like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Like I understand it more. But like I'm telling you, just listen to everyone, even if it sounds stupid or not.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll sound smarter later when you understand it.
Yeah, that's always what it is, right? Because then you get older and you realize,
oh yeah,
right? Like I should have just done that. And again, it goes to being humble, to just taking it. Just it's okay. Accepting the fact that we don't know everything is okay.
Yeah.
Because humility is always a beautiful thing, because that's how we grow, right? You have to go through your adversity in order to become a better human being.
Mm-hmm.
Because the more that you've fallen down and learned the hard way, it humbles you. It humbles you, and just like that, you less stress, right?
That's how I feel. I took so much shit.
Yeah. Dang. What other skill you think would be important?
For architecture, I think being able to do schematic designs fast, just like simple designs, like quick little designs, like here and there, hand sketch it,
Yeah, it's important.
multiple, just like keep them out as fast as you can. I don't know.
How did you learn to sketch?
Dude, I just kept drawing even if I got shitted on. I did not care. Like, drawing is the one thing that will take time. If you just gotta keep doing it. If you get roasted, it is what it is. Just keep doing it.
Oh, you know what I heard? Actually, you're right. You're right. To back you up on this, what you just said, the professor that I that I help like TA his class, he he told the students, their first year undergrads, he told them, I want to tell you guys the same thing. I want you guys to practice drawing, hand drawing by hand.
5 minute.
Yeah,
and
that's what
every
he
day.
said. Because he said, most of you guys think that drawing is a talent. It's not. It's a skill.
It is for some people. I have seen some people just pick it up.
But what he said was that it's a skill, because you have to practice. Right? I think that the people who draw good naturally, they actually invested more time in the drawing, right? Like they actually cared about not sharpening the pencil correctly or sharpening it too much, because that since then they knew about color shading and thickness of your graphite. So I think that's why they're probably in a more talented than we are.
Yep,
because you don't think you think it's talent. I think it's skill.
No, I think it's skill too, but some people definitely have the talent to pick it up faster.
Yeah, yeah.
Like way faster by a lot.
Yeah, that's where the talent.
But that's when you're like, oh man, then I suck. But then you're just like, just keep it going.
Yeah, keep going. Yeah, you're right
you'll
about that.
You'll get there one day. Just maybe not now, maybe not for a while, but you'll get there.
Yeah, you're right. You do get there. I remember my drawings sucked, man, and now I feel a little bit more confident in them. I'm not like, tier 1, but I'm very happy with the results. I mean, you've seen them, right? Like they're
good.
They're good. I don't think they're trash either, but it took a while to get there. I would always just hide it because then, it looked crappy compared to others. But I kept going. And what I did differently was that I actually stopped and took the time and was able to block everything else.
Yeah.
And just draw. Not worried about all the detail. Next question, Sean. Can you read it, sir?
Yeah. How do you stay inspired and creative when faced with deadlines and creative blocks? I can answer this.
Yeah. Go for it. Answer it.
So, midterm, this project, I was having a rough time thinking about it. Literally 3 days before midterm. Didn't think about it at all. Sometimes it's just best if you don't look at a project for a day or two. For me, I just didn't look at it for 3 days because, I did it for 2 days, tried to go back on it. Nothing. I couldn't do anything with it. I just saw the same thing, same shape. I was like, dude, this sucks. I hate it. I was probably 20 minutes in it. I was like, no, I'm going to do something else.
Yeah.
So, third day, basically the day before midterm, I'm like, okay, I have a bunch of ideas now. I'm going to try to crank out as many as I can. And I finally, know what I need to do now. I understand what are my goals I can execute for this project. So for me, I just, couple days, just don't even think about it and then come back to it. Or, if you're struggling even more, just look at precedents of some kind of topic. Maybe some of those things will just start coming into your head when you, look at those. But what about you?
Oh, man. I don't know how I would answer that question, honestly, because it's just, for me, it's just always been it's due. You have to do it no matter what. And although I am stressed out, I know that I have to have it done. And I try to just produce something at least worth talking about. Because then, if I'm going to get stressed out and because of stress dominating me, I'm just going to, produce something that looks like trash, then what was the point of getting stressed out? That's how I see it, and with another way that I stay confident, you know, because that's another thing that's important to talk about, right? Is how do you gain confidence? But I see you that there's too much confidence in you, man.
You know where I get that from? Getting yelled at a lot, man.
Yeah, you're
I
ready
can
for
just
it.
take it. That's why I wasn't ready for that midterm. They're like, you want to go to this one instead first? I was like, all right, let's run it. Let's run it down. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. You know what was funny earlier this week is with midterms, I kept telling you, what are you going to do? And you're just like, yeah, whatever. You know, you weren't stressed out. And then come midterm or a day before, I'm like, hey, Sean, that's what you did. Dang, I'm behind. And then I turned around and you were gone. I was like, what happened? I thought you weren't stressed out. But that day, that was the most stressed I've seen you so far. You took off.
That's because usually I'm like, I have something to like work on, but I literally could not think of anything. So I kind of started from scratch again.
Oh, man.
And I was like, you know what? I just have to bring stuff to. I'm gonna just bring the deliverables. I'm just gonna go with my old ideas and just crank it out.
Yeah, you did. I didn't even get to see your midterm. We didn't get to see each other's midterms, huh?
No, yeah. I don't know. I had, what is it? 3, 6, 9.
Yeah, well, no, we didn't.
I had 15 drawings.
Wow.
Maybe more. I don't think I printed the last 4 because of the printing problem, but
I don't think I saw any of your drawings.
I had 15.
Dang, I mean, yeah, let me check them out later. I'm interested to see what you did. Because 15 is a lot.
I know. I was looking at everybody's. I was like, oh, maybe I brought too much.
Well, were they cool? Were they good?
I think I was scared that some people were gonna go a little hard on it because I've seen their previous. I've seen what they've been showing. So I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna look really behind because they have a lot more than me. But then when I came to midterm, they're like, oh, it's a lot more simpler. I brought in like too much, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Moving on to our next question. How do you stay motivated and overcome self-doubt when facing demanding coursework or a complex design project? How do you stay motivated? Like, that's what we're going through right now. Right?
I think, like I said, like in an earlier podcast, find what you like. I think I know what I need to do, and I actually feel motivated to work towards it now.
Yeah, that's how I felt, like, towards the end.
I know I kept saying earlier, like, find what you like. I just couldn't find it yet because I didn't know what I want.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, I wrote goals, but I think the pace we're going at, none of those goals really work yet because it's more detailed work. But, like, I think I, like, finally found, like, what I'm motivated to do for this project.
Damn.
And then for the confidence thing and self-doubt, I don't know. Sometimes you just need to fail once to just understand it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you don't fail once, then it's gonna be more brutal for you. Fail earlier, I mean. Like, I failed a lot, but all those failures I've learned from I learned lessons from them.
Yeah, exactly. That's again with
technically
humility.
Yeah. As long as you learn something, I don't consider it as a failure.
Exactly.
If you learn from it, then move forward and fix it.
Exactly. But some people it's just so hard.
I don't know, like the easiest just take it. It is what it is.
Yeah, not right, because you see the same thing, right? Like,
not everyone's gonna like everything, not everyone's gonna like what you do. There's always gonna be somebody that's gonna hate it. Even if you perfected it, somebody out there is not gonna like it. Like, that's just how it is. Nobody's gonna like it. So
especially in architecture, right? Everything's subjective. Like, like I like Frank Gehry buildings, but other people hate them. But I like them. I like Ando's architecture, but some people don't like them. So everybody has their right to like and not like, a specific architect. Or what do you think about that? You feel the same way?
Yeah, I mean,
or you get offended if I don't like Frank Lloyd Wright like you do.
No, it's your opinion. Like,
right.
Everyone comes from a different style, background, everything. Like, the way you grew up is probably the way you see things.
Mm-hmm. Did that affect you?
What?
So that was a question we were asking earlier, like the cultural approach in us coming into architecture, right? Because even looking at us now, right? Like we don't look, we don't dress, and we don't speak like other students, right? Like because there's a cultural difference in every student, but this is ours, And what do you think that play? How does that play a role in architecture for you? Does it at all?
Oh, I don't think so.
No.
No, I think I bring myself to who I am and what I show. I don't see it as being Korean, like focusing on other things. I don't know.
But what about yeah? But like there's certain things that probably like for not for you, right? But for other students, I think because I've heard that, like for example, one of my Vietnamese friends, she was saying that they also cross their legs and sit on the floor to eat.
Yeah.
So when they were doing a design, she proposed that. She was proposing like, hey, we're building for these people, and this
Oh,
is
okay. I
something,
see.
you
Okay, I
know,
see what you're asking.
because of that, you're able to know something very very important that gives you a leg up from the average architect designer because you understand that culture better than anybody, right?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever brought any cultural thing
Approach.
to my projects.
Okay, but what about even easier, right? Like something like kitchens, right? There's students that focus a lot on the kitchens, and when you hear their narrative, they're saying it's because that's the best time that the family gets to spend together.
I think I focus more on like the setting we're at, or the settings that we're at. I guess I don't know. There isn't a project where I needed to bring a different culture or my culture to elevate a project, unless I naturally doing something that I don't know of.
Okay, and like an example of that has changed me to answer a little bit of this question is that when I was in Istanbul, that was one of the main things to focus on the design was kitchens, and then first of all it has to be enclosed, like complete its own room, and then I was like asking the Turks like why, and then they said because they they um they cook with a lot of spices so it can those odors can penetrate through the house, and they don't want the whole house smelling like that. And so I did that, and then on the midterm a Turkish lady said, no, an Egyptian lady, my Egyptian reviewer said that I almost had it right. She's like, now what you need to do is do a corridor from the main master bedroom to the kitchen, because usually for the culture over here in the Middle East, we have the kitchens with the main corridor so that the female could always be ready to feed the husband. So that
Okay.
was different, and I wouldn't have known that if the people didn't tell me, because I don't think I would have found that in a book.
Yeah, that's more of a
It's culture.
yeah.
So that definitely changed my outlook in architecture approach for sure, right? And even like creating my main thing, when with affordable housing, is to make sure that the people who live there have the best experience ever. Like because there's little kids there that can benefit greatly from a great childhood, man. Like everybody deserves to have a great childhood. Everybody deserves to run and get wet in the sprinklers. Did you ever go through that?
Yeah.
Right? Wasn't that like
I
super
mean,
memorable, man?
I mean that's why in the project I focused really heavy on the flooding issue because I made it where like kids can also play in the water, but if not, they can go back up, explore the landscape, all different shapes and hills, all that. You can do whatever.
And see, that to me that's important because you actually think about more of the human interaction in that, which is important. And you only understand that with like understanding the culture of having a great childhood, and because some people really don't care about those things.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. So I think that would be an answer for cultural approach. Um, yeah, and another thing that I took was just to be concise when you speak, right? To know right away, like cut the BS, cut the fluff, and just talk. Because I remember in that same studio, the professor told me, "Tell me the program," and then I'm like, "Oh, it has a very luscious garden with meandering paths that'll lead you." And then he was super respectful. Right, right, right. Okay, when I ask you that, what I mean is how many units, residential units, do you have? How many common spaces? How many public spaces? How many floors? And how much square footage is it in total? And then he starts drawing like an Excel spreadsheet on trace paper, and then he puts bedrooms, square footage, total, name. So then he goes, "Tell me, what's on the ground floor? Two restaurants, two restaurants. Um, how many restrooms?" And then the restrooms. How many two-bedroom units do you have total? This many. How many three-bedrooms total? This many. What's at the rooftop? Another garden, a garden and another restaurant. So then he puts three restaurants, garden, so and so bedrooms, so and so three bedrooms, and then common spaces this much. And he's like, "This is your square footage. This is your program." And in 2-3 sentences, you're done. It's short and sweet, and everybody, you still have them as opposed to just getting them bored.
Yeah, I definitely would say beginning of my not career, but like as a student, I definitely BS'd a story.
I think we all have.
I BS'd a story because my work was shit. So I needed a good storytelling thing to make it seem like I knew what I was doing. I definitely did that. Now, my speeches, straight to the point. I'm doing this, this, this. These are my goals. Let me know if I hit them or not.
That's better, no?
Yeah, that is better. But back in the day, I definitely had a BS because I just did not know like what to show, or I wasn't impressed with what I'm gonna show.
But how are the reviewers taking it right now that you're being concise?
Oh, well, now I know it's better that they talk more and we talk less, because we're there to learn more from them, not
the other way around.
Yeah, not the other way around. So for me, I'm like, okay, let's just get this over with. 5 minutes, and let's just get the critique.
That's a good point. Let's see, number
8.
If architecture could solve one pressing global issue overnight, which problem would you want to tackle?
Yeah, housing, homelessness. I wanna. I think that would be a interesting thing to just like put all of our resources into that and fix that problem.
Homelessness, huh?
I don't know. For me, like my end goal is in life is like go somewhere else and then come back here, give back to the community, build something if I can for like homeless people so that they can have a place to stay. I don't know.
Yeah. Why do you think? How did that come about?
I don't know. I think, with all the events that happened, with me last year or a couple months, I'm like seeing life more differently and understanding more. And I feel like I want to help others because I feel like a home is actually an important place for like a person to be in. So like that's what I want to do when I like get older.
That's cool, man. That's definitely a beautiful feeling to have, and it's special to me to even hear this from you, because you've never shared this with me, and that's pretty cool that you feel that, because I really didn't even think about that response, to be honest. Like what global issue I would face would be if homelessness. Um, that wasn't for me. I don't think that wasn't on my mind. I was still trying to process the question, like what would I solve. And the immediate answer is like the Miss Universe, right? When what's then? What do you want to solve if you win? Climate change, like if climate change is one thing, right? It's everything. It's so many things. And that was gonna be my response was climate change, but I just because I couldn't think of another thing, but homelessness is very
I
important.
mean, not because we're just that answer didn't come up because we're an affordable
No,
housing
yeah,
thing,
no,
but
I
that's
believe
always
that.
been my like goal, one of my goals when I like get older.
To help out the less fortunate with housing.
Yeah, like build something. Like I know I'm gonna lose money on it, but I don't care. Money's just money. So hopefully by then that's how I think. Money's money, and just donate, build all of it, get that going.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be cool. But could we even solve that issue? It's tough, man. It's so much land. There is a lot of land available, right? But we're kind of mean in that sense, man, as
You
human beings,
know.
because like people will see a homeless person and then call the cops, and then hey, he's not supposed to sleep there, and then you think, okay, cool, maybe he doesn't have to sleep in the amphitheater, but he has no home. Where exactly?
Yeah.
Where exactly do you want him to go?
I don't know.
Inside a Starbucks?
I mean, that's why I asked a lot of questions like, what is affordable housing? Like, where are we getting the money? Like, that's why I was like, oh, okay, I get it more. Because, like, for me, what affordable housing meant was like, well, at least for me, like, in my end goal, like, if I have money, I just lose all that money because I have to build everything. No one's gonna donate. It's just I'm gonna put all of it. And I'm just ready to lose it.
You saying that is funny because have you seen the news lately about this community that spent like thousands of dollars to place boulders underneath a park or a shade because they didn't want the homeless people to take over there, so they by putting boulders they can't lay down. And one of the things that we do in landscape architecture that I remember calling out the professor was, he said, make sure, because someone was getting reviewed and they said, why did you just put a flat bench there? And the student, right, is inexperienced to respond to what he said, right? So what she said was like the obvious, like, well, so that people can sit. That's why. Yeah, but what about at night? And she's like clueless. Like, what about at night? If someone sits, they can sit. And he's like, no, homeless people are gonna want to sleep there. You have to break that bench apart and put interrupting spaces so it makes it uncomfortable for them, but comfortable for the person that's just there momentarily. And I thought like, wow, like
Yeah,
we got to that.
that'd be a sometimes it's a harsh reality. I don't know.
You're so what? That's what do you feel about that? Is that good or bad?
Morally, no, but not the word. What's the right word? Like the way it's supposed to be or morally, no, but like I understand
Yeah,
why they have to do it.
yeah, same. Because then if you're a parent and you're in a park and then they're there and you have nowhere to sit, but your child's kind of afraid too, because unfortunately they're not in the best condition. And I can see how that can change the park dynamic of no one wanting to go now. Because I've seen like Skid Row is that in Los Angeles, they took over that whole street, and then nobody messes with them. Now they can live there.
Mm-hmm.
But then would that really solve the problem of building homeless units? I don't know.
We'll find
There's
out.
so many.
Find out when I come back.
Yeah. I don't, yeah, I didn't, yeah. You want to read number 9?
Yeah, if you could time travel in any period in history to see the structure or the construction, where would you choose and why? Do you have an answer or you want me
No,
to
go
go?
ahead.
I would, since I just came back from Italy, I would actually like to see how the Colosseum was built.
Yeah.
That thing's huge, man.
Yeah, you were there.
I didn't go inside, but I walked a lot around the
Like when you
outside.
say huge, sorry to interrupt, but I'm still on huge. How huge are we talking here?
I didn't think it was gonna be that big.
Like taller than this outside here?
What?
Lawrence?
Lawrence? Dude, I don't remember. It was just huge because of the stone blocks being like so big. There were some things where I'm like, oh, that's a lot smaller, but like a Pantheon, another example, it looks kind of.
You went in there?
Yeah, it looks kind of small on the outside.
Yeah.
Inside, huge, very big. I was like, that's so.
Mind tricky.
Yeah. Same with the Coliseum. I'm like, oh, it doesn't look that big. But then when you go up there, you're like, shit, that's like huge. Like, how do they even like?
What goes in your mind when you experienced it? Like, did you take a moment to take it all in, or you? Oh, nice, cool.
I'm just thinking like, how did they start like stacking things like? We have all this tech to do everything now, but like back then they had tech for them, but like not what we have. So it's just interesting to see like people can make that back then, and it's still standing. But we have a lot of buildings now where like it's just gone.
Yeah, yeah. But what did you think when you were in the Coliseum?
I didn't go in there.
You didn't go? You saw it from the outside?
Yeah, but I was like right next to it.
Damn.
I was just thinking like what it would be like to be there back then, like as a person, just a normal citizen, just walking through it. It's prime time.
Yeah. Well, my time that I would like to be in was the what's it called, man? It was a structure for the pharaohs.
Oh, I'd like to see the pyramid too.
Yeah, but the temple, man, the landscape, like they did it where like it just looked gigantic, and so it makes you think like, man, how did they live, right? Because the Egyptians were the slaves, and like to think, man, look at all these things that they built. It's incredible, man.
Yeah, I know. So wild to think about sometimes. I just think back like if I was there back then, like what would I feel?
Yeah. Yeah, that type of stuff blows my mind because then I start thinking like, what were they doing and then what were they talking about? Like were they even taking a moment to take it all in? Did they even get the chance to take it all in as workers, or they were just keep going, and they just didn't realize how beautiful that place looked?
Yeah.
Because everything is so aligned, man. Because because you thought they were using chalk line. I said there was no chalk line back then. How would that be, right?
Oh my god.
Lastly, Sean, reflecting on your journey and architecture so far, what are you most proud of achieving, and what goals do you have for your future?
Achieving. Man, dude, I don't know. I'm so hard on myself. I don't like anything I produce so far. I think the one thing I'm proud about is my scaffolding studio. I think that's the one work I actually like. At the end of the term, I was like, you know what? I actually enjoyed it. I liked the way it came out. I think that's the one studio I would say I felt most achieved in. With all my other studios, at the end of the term, I'm like, man, I mean, it was good, but it doesn't feel right to me the way it ended. But that was the one studio I think I felt like very accomplished. And what about you?
I think that for me, I think it would have to be the first year, because when it was my first year doing architecture models and architectural floor plan, because previously it was landscape architecture, and just to know that I produced something that was aesthetically pleasing, and now the model was really nice too. I'll probably put a clip on them. I'll show what the model looked like. And I really, really enjoyed that project because it was a music school, and I have the roof like shaped like the sound wave going in your ear, right? Because the sound of the music that you enjoy listening to, it takes you to a moment of time, you know. and so the roof was that. And then my stairs were a spiral, so I went all the way to the roof, and it just looks like that.
That's
so
cool.
I really enjoyed that, and I was really proud of that project. How I applied, how I will plan to apply that, I don't know. Would you have an answer for that?
I think some of my goals is trying to take what I learned from architecture, from like specific studios that are like kind of like, I think I consider product design way instead of architecture, is like trying to use those skill sets and move that into what I enjoy now. Like trying to go into product design.
Yeah. Dang, you're serious about product design, huh?
Yeah, dude, I think I'm all in. I'm starting to look at schools right now.
Yeah.
It just looks so fun, like the way they have to think about all these other I don't know, like when I do architecture projects, I don't, for some reason, I just don't question the way I question my own, I don't know. I think it's just because I'm just interested more.
Yeah. You think you got it down like that, like the creativity, because some of these guys build like, or people, I'm sorry, they design these super interesting products, and you think like, how did you think of that? Like, I'll probably put up a photo of this product designer that did a presentation in my studio, and she was from Turkey, and she showed an example of how a product designer thinks of all things. Like, a person thought about an umbrella that just they put a little stool on it, or not a stool. What's it called? When you kick a kickstand.
Okay.
On the umbrella, so that way if there's nowhere to put it, you put it on the kickstand, and it stands. Yeah, and it did something else, and then she showed something as simple as a coat hanger. How like just gravity pushes it against the wall, and the weight of your garment keeps it locked so that it doesn't tip over.
I don't know, like that just sounds like interesting to me more than like the stuff we do for architecture, at least. Like, I'm like, I don't know, like I'm trying to make a backpack right now. I'm like asking like, what material? How am I gonna bend it? How is it gonna work when like someone like smashes it? Is it gonna be stable still, or like, is it gonna be waterproof if I put this many zippers on there? But like, I don't know why. I just cannot think of that many questions for architecture. I don't know. I just can't ask myself like, oh, like right now, like I don't even know what to ask myself for architecture.
Yeah, and it is cool, right? Like the coat hanger thing. And what other like products have you seen that are pretty cool to you that the product designer thought about? Because you got some hangers too, right? That have holes.
Yeah, I just bought some hangers, but that's more of a parametric design. Just looks cool. Stainless steel hangers.
And different for sure.
I mean, I have to look at it. I haven't really like looked at what he made. I kind of want to be a surprise, like when I get it. I'm gonna see like what it actually like. I'm gonna compare it to a normal hanger and see what he like changed and stuff.
That's cool. Well, that does it for tonight's show, man. Is there anything you want to add?
No, that's it for me.
Awesome.
All right, thank you guys so much. If you guys have any questions you want to ask us, feel free to DM us on our Instagram or leave a comment down below. Thank you.
See you.